This is Richard Hsu, host of Hsu Untied. This morning, I'm pleased to have with me a very longtime friend of mine, Brett Pletcher, who's currently of counsel at Gunderson. Brett, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Richard. It's great to see you.
I should say welcome again to the program. As you may recall, you were a guest when you were at the General Counsel of Gilead.
I was. It's great to be back.
Well, so let me ask you, and I want to talk about what you're doing today, of course, but I also want to know a little bit about what does one do when after spending 2 decades of Gilead, what did you do the first day you didn't have to show up for work there?
Well, what we had planned that as soon as I was done at Gilead, that we were going to jump in our RV and go on a trip. And that's what I always said I was going to do. And so we had it planned so that I wouldn't have any downtime to sit around the house. So we would just jump in our RV and we'd go travel. And so we did.
And how was that?
It's fantastic. It's really, really good. I call it my de-stress machine. As soon as I jump in the driver's seat of that RV, my stress level goes down. And I just really enjoy it. So it was a great plan to just kind of jump in that and get going.
Well, where did you go and how long did you go for? A lot of people have the dream of like being able to go in an RV and just head into the country.
Yeah, so for that trip, I think we only went for a week or so. We went kind of down the Washington coast, down into Oregon, and, enjoying the sights, or so you can just stop every mile and just enjoy the view along the way.
Yeah.
That for about a week. Then we got back up to the house and, started being retired in earnest. But then we were all over the place in that RV for the first year. We were out in Washington, Eastern Washington, all over Oregon, Idaho, Montana, the Dakotas, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, Colorado. We were all over the place.
Wow.
And we just barely scratched the surface.
How many miles do you think you drove in an RV?
15 or 20,000 probably.
Yeah.
Just open road. It's so much fun.
Interesting. Not boring. It was interesting.
It's not boring because the people you meet out there is a different crowd. They're all very welcoming, but it's a different crowd. You go to places that are just so remote that you wouldn't even believe are out there. And you get to see these just incredible, geological or cultural areas that you don't get to see when you're working. And you could actually spend time in getting to know the area versus, stopping and seeing it for a day and then moving on. And we're stopping for a week and exploring. And it's been great to see. And so we're now at the point we're a little bit overwhelmed by, we've been all over the West, still have a lot to see. And we still have, everything west of Colorado or east of Colorado still to see.
Interesting. And you how long would you go at a time? Like, would you go for like weeks or months even before you come back, or how long of a trip would you usually make?
I think our longest trip has been about a month. Okay. That's kind of pushing it, because at some point you're like, okay, I'm living in a small space, right? It's me, my wife, and the dog. You're on the move all the time, and eating in restaurants, or and so at some point you're like, it's time to go back.
Yeah. You want to sleep in your own bed, don't you? At some point,
you want to sleep in your own bed. You want to stretch out a little bit. You don't want to drive the next day, or some things like that. But for the most part, we really enjoy being out there.
Sounds like a dream come true.
It is. It definitely is.
Well, you obviously could have kept driving that RV, but look, you decided to rejoin your old firm, Gunderson. Tell me about what the reason for that is. I mean, most people would say, gosh, after a successful career like yours, never go back to a law firm, but I'm sure you had your reasons.
Yeah, so I've gone back in a much different way than I was there before.
Yeah.
And so after I retired, like I said, I spent the time traveling. But then when I was at home, I was trying to figure out what to do with myself, because after working for 26, 27 years, going 200 miles an hour, coming to an abrupt professional stop, it's pretty jarring. The emails stopped, the calls stopped, the visits to your office stopped, all the things that you're thinking about day and night stops, and you kind of, what am I going to do with myself? And so I would get up and I'd read the paper and I'd ride my Peloton and I'd dink around on the piano a little bit, and then it's 10 a.m. doing the rest of the day, right? And so I'm scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, and I waste a couple of hours, and I'm like, I can't do this for the next 30 years. I got to figure out something to do. And so about February, March this year, I started getting calls from CEOs saying, look, hey, will you come be our general counsel? I said, no, I don't want to be general counsel again, at least not right now.
Yeah.
But then they would say, well, can you help us then? Because we're a relatively small company. We have someone who's either general counsel or head of legal. We have some really hard issues that we're dealing with or expecting to deal with, and we don't have the internal expertise to do it. Would you be willing to advise us? And I had another CEO who was going to be a brand new CEO, hadn't been CEO before of a public company, and called me and said, hey, I haven't done this before, and I'd love to have somebody I can call and bounce things off of. Mm-hmm. Either legal or not legal. How do I deal with my board, or how do I deal with my stockholders? How do I hire a general counsel? What should I be looking for? All those kinds of things. Mm. And so I started thinking, I'm enjoying these conversations, but I'm getting to the point where I should probably be paid for all the time I'm spending on it. Yeah. 2, I'm probably gonna need to create a client relationship because I'm starting to skirt these issues of privilege. Yeah. And so I started doing some research on, okay, what if I just did this on my own? And then you need insurance to do this too. And so about time I started looking into that, I got a call from one of the partners just out of the blue from Gunderson saying, have you ever thought about coming back to a law firm? And I said, no, absolutely not. I hadn't thought about that at all. Yeah. But now that you mention it, I'm getting these calls that I'm enjoying, and would be interested in talking about whether there's something where I can kind of answer these calls from the CEO types, and then also maybe be a coach for general counsel, because a lot of these companies in the Silicon Valley, they hire their early lawyers are either pretty junior lawyers, or they're lawyers who've been focused in a very narrow area like IP or transactions, and they don't have the full breadth of understanding of what it takes to be a general counsel, and they don't have the experience to be a general counsel. Yeah. So if I could coach those folks on kind of how to handle the things that they haven't dealt with before, or don't know how to approach, I would really enjoy that. And so we talked about it for a while at the firm, decided, hey, why don't I come back as a of counsel? So there's relatively low risk for both of us. And I would set up a practice where I would help the public companies group with public companies issues, help the life sciences group in terms of, a life sciences company wants to call me and talk about how do they do a license with a university, or how do we open up an affiliate in Europe, or how do we deal with investigations by the FDA, all those things I've dealt with before. Yeah, right. And then this other practice with general counsel. So that's what I've come back to do. I don't have the typical practice. I don't have what you would call clients where I'm doing financings or M&A or IPOs, and I'm more in a consulting role, which allows me to be remote. It allows me to stay in my RV and I can travel wherever I want to. Elon Musk put out this great device called Starlink, and put that out behind my RV when I need to have a conversation when I'm out in the middle of nowhere. And I've got the ability to do a call just like this.
So you're not doing any deal work at all? No M&As or anything like that? How about IP litigation? I know you were embroiled in a lot of IP litigation at Gilead. Do you advise on that at all, strategically at least?
I've been starting to advise companies on getting an IP strategy early. What are they patenting? Where are they patenting it? Why are they patenting it? What's the use for it? To the extent we get companies who need to really look hard at their IP and anticipate litigation, then I would definitely get involved in that. I spend a lot of time walking boards of directors through really, really difficult IP issues, and can be helpful to either companies in the future or to some of the investors that are looking at investing in companies that have IP issues. So I expect that'll be something that I do. I haven't done it yet.
Now, do you find it hard to kind of keep the right amount of work balance? Because I can see this also sucking up a lot of time, and then you think, gosh, that's too much time. But then you think, well, I want to have more. Or are you able to actually keep it in a pretty good balance?
It's early days, really early. So, what I keep telling people is there's 18 years of people who have come to Gunderson who have no idea who I am.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. And so there's a process of me getting to know people in the firm and them understanding who I am and what I can do. There's the layer of people that are running the firm at this point are primarily the folks that I came in with.
Yeah. Right.
Junior associates way back. So I know that layer, but beyond that, I don't know. And so I've been getting introduced to the firm. The firm has some worry as well about me getting overwhelmed and running off saying I didn't sign up for this, and so they're being careful about what types of things they'll send my way. But so far it's been manageable, and like I said, for the most part, I'm just having phone calls and talking through with a general counsel or a CEO or a CFO a challenging issue, how I would approach it. And then coming up with a plan for them to head off and work on that. And then oftentimes there'll be a follow-up call as well.
So
And
it sounds like the perfect mix. I mean, you're obviously it sounds like you're getting to do what you enjoy doing, and you already know the firm. Obviously, you grew up there, so it sounds like really the perfect place to do this.
yeah, so far it's been great. I think it's a bit of an experiment for both me and the firm.
Yeah, right.
I'm a little bit of a different animal than they typically would see,
Yeah,
but I'm enjoying it, and I think hopefully some folks in the firm are learning from some of the things that I'm able to provide.
Now, could this possibly lead to something else? Like, would this entice you to maybe be a general counsel again, or do something more full time, or anything like that? Or what do you think?
Sitting here today, I don't know. I still have a bit of a mental and physical hangover from having been general counsel for 13 years.
Yeah, right.
Just at least in Gilead, and I suspect many Fortune 500 companies, it's just a 24/7
Yeah, right.
grind. And after a number of years, you're just mentally and physically exhausted.
Yeah, right.
That's what I was when I left. And so I'm still getting over that a little bit, but I never say never. I think if a really interesting company came by, and it was something that I thought I wanted to do, and my wife was behind, I might consider it.
Yeah.
But today I still have a hard time thinking that I would do it, but
Yeah.
never know.
Huh. Could you ever see, I mean, the one thing maybe you have never done is actually, like, be the CEO of a startup or something like that. Is that something that you'd even entertain, or you doubt it?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Right. There was a time when I felt like I could probably do that.
Yeah.
But CEOs are even crazy busier than general counsel, right? And they have even more pressure on them than general counsels in many ways, and so I don't know that that's something that I would do.
And you
But
probably
I-
couldn't,
I
and you probably
thought,
couldn't, and you probably couldn't do that out of an RV.
no, probably can't do that, from the middle of Montana with the Starlink communicating with the world. It'd be hard.
Well, Brett, it's been wonderful catching up with you. Congratulations on your incredible success. And it sounds like you really hit a nice sweet spot. I really appreciate your taking the time to come to chat with me again. If you do happen to find something else, definitely come back and tell me about it.
I definitely will. It's been great talking to you again.
This is Richard Hsu and Brett Pletcher.